Well, it's a great crowd. Thanks everybody for coming. Can y'all hear me? Great.
Yep.
Good afternoon and welcome to the groundbreaking ceremony for the Educators Grove. If you don't know who I am, I'm Howard Russell. I graduated from Henrietta High School in 1980. Today we're here to celebrate the new Russian Henrietta Educators Grove, a project that we've been working on for several years. And I never thought it would become as big as it has. And it's just really exciting to be part of this. Something that started out as just an idea to plant a couple of trees has turned into something much bigger. So why an Educators Grove and how did it come to be? So we all know there's so much more to learn in school other than academics that's learned in the classroom. The adults that influence a student's life come from all over the school, from teachers to advisors to coaches to office staff. And let's not forget the lunch ladies and the custodians, because sometimes they play a major role in the education of the students. Getting involved in sports, music, theater, or even a chess club provides so many life lessons. In my case, it was theater, especially technical theater, which provided me with many lessons well beyond what I learned in the class. Sperry has an amazing theater program which continues to flourish today. The connections that most of us made with our advisors in those days stay with us for a lifetime. And we made those connections and we kept them for many years. Now, unfortunately, many of us lost those connections over time, but thankfully to the advent of social media, we were able to reconnect with each other. And when we did that, we found that all the theater people were interested in some sort of reunion. We all kind of talked about getting together and meeting again and seeing each other. And it took a while for it to happen, but it finally really did. And about 2000, I think it was 2019, or 18 or 19, we had a reunion of about 30 years of the years where Bob Sagan, Robert Sagan was the English teacher and theater director. All those years when he ran Sperry Little Theater, which then became Spotlight Theater when Roth merged into the school. And it was kind of an odd reunion in the fact that everybody who was there didn't know each other. I mean, except for the people around your class, you don't know somebody who graduated 20 years earlier than you were 10 years after you. But we all were there for a common purpose, and it was just a great event. So after the event, we had the idea that there was some money left over. We didn't plan to make a profit, but we had some money, and we decided to plant 2 trees. One for Bob Sagan, one for Paul Simicata. Paul was the choral director for many of those years, and Paul is sadly passed away. So we first looked at doing them at several different places on school property, but ultimately decided that the Henrietta Town Park on Hawkins Road would be a great spot. There's a big grove of trees there already. We could put a few more in, and then thought maybe, geez, if we do this, other people would want to do it too, and we could have a grove of trees for educators. So that's kind of where the idea started. I took the idea to the town supervisor, Stephen Schultz, and he thought the idea was great, but he said, I got a better park for you. This one here, where we're standing. And the reasons are several. One, this park had some issues with the ash borer disease. A lot of the trees had to be taken down, so it needs some renovation and rejuvenation. Plus, the other thing is, what do you do with this little small park? Because you can't play ball on it, there's no ball fields, there's no playground. It's kind of too close to the road for kids to play around. So this would be a nice place for a nice contemplative area dedicated to educators. Now, I wanted to mention that the park was named for, and I just learned this a few days ago, Hartley Hoskins, whose family owned the land. He was born here and graduated high school here. I'm not sure if he graduated Russian Henrietta, but in the area. Actually, I think he took lessons at Easton School too. His career path led through a PhD in oceanography, and he spent most of his career at Woodhull Oceanographic Institute. He eventually became a doctor and spent many of his life elsewhere. But it's believed that Mr. Hoskins, whose family owned the land, donated this land for a park which is named for his family in 2003. So we have that as our benefactor. Through Mr. Schultz's guidance, we formed an Educators Grove Committee. First, when we came up with this idea for the Grove, he said, we got to have a committee, you got to have a process and a procedure. And I went, what am I going to do with this? So I kind of took it to task and decided to see where it goes. We have a formal process now and procedures. And the next step to do once we did that, and what I want to mention first is that, the original members of the committee, some of them are no longer serving on the committee. They helped out at formal years when we kind of formalized everything and put it together. But I want to mention them. Sarah Hogan, Tim Oakes, Heather Campo from the school district, Aaron Neiman, and then we had 3 student representatives, Barry Lenz, Doreen Thomas, and myself. We're the alumni members of the committee. There are always alumni members on that committee. And if you're interested in being an alumni member on that committee, let me know. The next step was to figure out what are we going to do with this park, how are we going to make it into an educator's grove. So from my experiences with DOT, I thought we could do a design charrette. And we had some landscape architects and landscape people on the committee, and they were willing to help us run that. So we did it over here at the firehouse. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there. But we came up with this master plan, which you see right over here, which is where we're standing. The master plan was approved by the town, and it gave us a place to start. So the next problem is, how do you raise funds to build something like this? Now, the town can participate with some things like the trail and some of the Hearts infrastructure, but they can't go out and raise funds for a big project like this. So what was suggested is we need a group like the Henrietta Library has, called a Friends Group. Also, at the same time, there was a great dedicated group of parents from the gymnastics program who had a similar need. They needed to raise money for gymnastics programs, for travel, for uniforms and things like that, and they had no formal way of doing that. So Mr. Schultz put them together with me, and I said I'd serve on that board, but I wouldn't run it. But I have to say, the people who put this thing together, Friends Area Town Parks and Recreation, did an amazing job. They're amazing people. I've loved working with them. I consider them friends now. And they did all the work. We had some help, legal help, and got the 501c3 together. So we now have an official 501c3 Friends group. Our first primary goals are this park, getting this built, and the gymnastics programs, but we're also there to do fundraising for a lot of other things as well. So we'll work on lots of ideas, and we need people to join it. So the first phase of the project I consider to be this area here. It's an entry plaza with some flagpoles and signs. We're going to work with the town to design and build it, and we're estimating about $50,000 to build it. Fortunately, our community has received a matching grant from Tim and Robin Wentworth, who are theater people themselves in high school, and have done very well. The Educators Grove has gotten a grant. They're from the class of '78, and they'll make their help maybe one step closer to reality. Tim's passionate about community and supporting schools, and has helped him become the success that he is. So the mansion grant hopefully will be added to by donations from various people in the town. It will help us with this phase, and then lead on to other phases. We want to add bathrooms and a gazebo and some other ideas as well. So we also had other donations. Rotary has been kind enough to donate several benches, which you may notice at the entrance of the park. We'll figure out where we put them later. And I acknowledge Ray Rourke, Lee Loomis, and the club president, Janet Walker, for here as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if any of my committee from the Friends groups here, raise your hands. I want you people to know they're here helping out today. And they're going to help with this area. Thank you. So today we're also going to acknowledge and plant the first 2 trees in the grove, which I'm glad we're finally getting to. The first 2 trees are for, again, Robert Sagan, who is here, and I think he's going to say a few words in a minute, and Paul Simicata, whose daughter is here too. Michelle is here. We have plaques for the trees. We'll go over there later on our own and figure out which tree goes to which plaque. But this one, it says Paul Simicata, Mr. C. I almost forgot already called Mr. C. Choral and musical director, planting the seed of music for generations of families.
Not this way.
And then the wording on this one was provided by Bob, which I love. Robert Sagan, English teacher, theater director, act well your part therein, all honor lies. I'll do that. So, just quickly before I finish up and let a few other people speak here, I want to say that what's the next steps? How can you plant a tree or honor somebody in this garden? Well, the Western Area School District has its website, Educators Grove. Go there. There's a form you can fill out. We have a couple of people that we've already been asked to recognize, that Judy Penamore and Howard Rowe are on the list of possible future trees. We have to get through the applications. I was hoping to get through them and do it as part of this group, and I apologize for not getting to it sooner, but we'll get there, and they'll be part of this hopefully in the future as well. So you can go to the Grove and fill that out, and the committee will approve the application. Of course, you can always donate to the Grove. We have a Facebook group and a page. You can find out information on how to donate. We have a site. And I also want to take the time to thank Pam Gordman from the Director of the Parks and Recreation Department. She's been very helpful with the Friends Committee, attending all the meetings, giving us lots of advice, helping with our events, and she helped set up today along with Tim Oakes, bringing the transportation and the chairs and all that. So thank you guys. Also, Wegmans for donating the cider and donuts. Make sure you have some before we leave. And everybody else for coming. Thank you. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Stephen, and then we're going to have somebody from the school district, and then Bob will say a few words, and we'll guess who wants to talk.
So Howard covered a lot, so I'm just going to add a little color. For Howard, or for Hartley Hoskins, for those who don't know, the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, it's located up in Cape Cod, and for over 50 years they've had this remotely piloted submersible called Alvin, and discovered things like, they were the first ones to discover the deep sea thermal vents in the ocean. They're the ones who discovered the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean. They helped do the imaging so that they could repair the Deepwater Horizon well. So they've done a lot of stuff from both scientific discovery as well as helping out with things like the subject of the Deepwater Horizon. So it's a neat organization, and it's great that somebody from this area played a major part in that for so many years. In terms of the Grove and how it came together, again, Howard gave you a large part of that. One of the things we talked about is, you mentioned, it's not just that there's not ball fields here. If you put a ball field, all the balls would end up on Whitney, right? That'd be pretty dangerous. So, for the longest time, this was basically trees and not much else. And as was mentioned, a lot of those trees died. So it just seemed like a great area. Fortunately, when we got to the design, Sarah Hogan, who was on our conservation board, also happens to be a landscape architect. And so she donated her services pro bono. She actually works for a consultant called EDR, but she donated her services pro bono to do the design, and did a fantastic job. Such a good job that we're using EDR to do our LWRP. I told them I want Sarah on that team because it's one of the first times I went to an architect and got back almost exactly what I wanted. So great contribution there. Rick, I'm going to need the rake to clear out my steps in the sand trap here. So then, one of the other things is we talked about, it's not that we can't fundraise large projects, we can't fundraise any projects. Town governments, actually any government, is prohibited from doing fundraising because they always fear that if they come to folks, it'll be seen as pressure and illegal taxation. So that's why you have to have these not-for-profits like the Friends of the Henrietta Public Library raising funds. Fortunately, one of the parents of the gymnast happens to be an attorney who specializes in not-for-profits, because I'll tell you, it's not an easy process. So having somebody who understands how that gets done, I was very impressed with how fast it went through, because again, it's not an easy process. So they're in place. They've already started fundraising. They've raised a significant amount for this feature. And again, we're probably looking at, you can see it on here, it's sort of a half wall. There'll be flagpoles behind it, probably a flower bed in front with maybe the front of the flower bed will be benches that you could sit on. So other stuff we're looking at in the back, there's kind of a copse in the wood back there. We're looking whether it's going to be gazebos or trellises or something, but it's going to be a circular feature that the trail kind of circles around it. And we're going to have pavers there so that if people want to make a smaller donation to recognize someone, we'll have different levels of donation because not everybody has the financial ability to do a larger donation like a tree or a bench. So there'll be a lot of different opportunities. And one of the things I'll also note, in addition to the educators at Rush Henrietta's Central School District, we also have parochial schools that are in town, and we also have a major university in town. So like for myself, I plan to donate in memory of two educators who played a big part in my life here in town. Both of them happen to be Henrietta residents. One was Dr. Barry Culhane, and the other one is Dr. Stan McKenzie. And Dr. McKenzie was a Shakespeare teacher, and so he talked about a lot of, when you're trying to get college kids interested in Shakespeare, one of the easiest ways is to teach them about all the sexual innuendos that are in all of the plays. So there was one about an ivy-covered wall that he always loved to talk about. So when we do the separation from that grove to the church behind, I'm going to see if I can donate a wall that we can have ivy grow up. So remember, do that in honor of Stan McKenzie. So like I said, anyone who has an idea, we're not limited by a particular set, but like I said, if it's someone who played a large part in your life as an educator and you want to honor them, contact the Friends Group. Or if you can't get a hold of them, you can contact me and I'll put you in touch with them. All right. You want to go to new superintendent? Not super new anymore, but relatively newer than me.
Thank you, Steve. Just really excited to come and join you today. For those of you who I've not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Dr. Barbara Millen. I'm the new-ish superintendent of Rush Henrietta Central School District. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. As the daughter of two educators, my mother was a special educator, my father was a higher education administrator and professor. I know full well the power of public education, and I loved it so much that I couldn't stay away. So I made a career of it. I had a really great experience growing up across the country in different types of schools and working in different schools. And I have to say, as a new member of Henrietta Town, as a parent of RH students at the moment, this is such a spectacular place to be. And I still will tell anyone I meet that this is the best school district in the nation and one of the best communities to raise your family in. So I want to publicly say thank you to those of you who served as educators who I've had the chance to meet, those who've loved educators and rode alongside us as we go to educate the youth of our town. And I hope that this space continues to serve as a place for, yes, contemplation, but for the next generation of youth who are thinking about being educators, because we absolutely want to see this noble profession continue to grow. Thank you for joining us.
Sagan, go ahead and say a few words.
I guess it would be appropriate to go into a song, Don't Rain on My Parade.
I can do that.
You can do a duet. You don't sing? But I understand you're a mathematician. Absolutely. Okay. This is really a wonderful moment in my life, and it's just wonderful to have part of my family here. My other daughter and her family were celebrating Parents' Weekend for my grandson who's a senior at Brown. And I have my local daughter, Susan, from North Elementary, joined by Madison Patton, the woman who has been by my side and been with me all these many, many years, my wife, Joyce. So I thank you for all of your support these many years. And I'm thinking back to 1972 when I arrived in arrived in Henrietta, and previous to being hired by the RH district, I was in Buffalo, and I was in the city schools for 6 very interesting years, and then we got here in '72, and it's hard to believe all that has happened since 1972, and our world is just so different, and I think back to being a young educator, 24, 25, 26 years old, and working with 17 and 18-year-olds, and now these 17 and 18-year-olds are late 60s, early 70s. It's crazy. And my mind is going faster than I can get everything out, but I look at Howie as a mature adult. I had Howie as a 9th grader, and we had 9 honors, and I always had to say something to Howie, pay attention, because Howie was sitting at the desk, and he had a paper out, and with his pencil he was drawing roads, R-O-A-D-S. And of course, for those of you who don't know Howie, he was very instrumental in the development of not only this project, but we refer to the Susan B. Anthony Freddie Douglass Bridge as Howie's Bridge because he was a major part of the design team. So I guess sitting in my ninth grade honors English class, he knows how to write a sentence, but he also knows how to design and build. So I have to get that story. And then when I look out, I see Gordon Smith in the class of 74, and we just celebrated a 50th reunion, which was incredible. And Gordon did backstage work. When I arrived at our age, Gordon was a junior, and he worked backstage. And I remember the first year we did below dollar, and then the second year, in Gordon's senior year, I remember we did How to Succeed in Business, and he ended up being a major character. And I just remember the opportunity that RH gave him for not only education, but all the extracurricular activity being involved in theater, because he had an opportunity to experience both on stage and off stage. And what a wonderful, he played the part of J.B. Sedgley, the Rudy Valley part in the original show. And he just brought the house down. But I remember you saying, I think I like backstage work better. And for many, many years, Gordon was a production manager and a producer for our local Channel 10. So it's that start in our age that, you know, what do I say? It's just wonderful to stand here and to see all that's happening. And another beautiful thing, and it's Sharon Cox, that makes me want to say is, Sharon and Jim were so supportive of every what I did at RH. I had such a wonderful relationship with her husband, Jim. Jim was phys ed, I was an arts. We had great respect for one another. And I remember many times I had my students who also were athletes and I wanted them to be on stage. And I remember working very closely with Jim on a couple of shows where the young man who was my lead also was a quarterback and he was also lacrosse. And we worked things out that they could be, and that he could be both and have both of those experiences. And it's that collegiality and the respect and working for one another. And I look at my gray-haired friend Rick Page. I mean, Rick and I both had black hair once upon a time. But, you know, we go back a long time, and the memories are there, and it's just wonderful. And to have this happening today, and I know I get very long-winded, and I know this is dangerous to get me to something like this and to have an audience. But it's so very, very special. And, you know, and Paul Simicata, we worked together for 24 wonderful years, and Paul is no longer with us. And I lost both Paul and Roger Eckers, who, I mean, we were a team. We were educators. You know, I don't know how else to put it. And Paul is being honored along with me today with the painting of the tree. And I just think back to my friendship with Paul, and we were not only professional friends, but our families were friends. And both of our daughters, who are here today, made their stage debut in 1976 in the Pajama Game. So everything was a family, an all-age family, and it's indeed very, very special. And I'm getting the cue from my wife very nicely. Wrap it up. Okay. And she knows me only too well. When I get this to my daughter, and my son-in-law is taking this. But anyway, Howie, I can't thank you enough. Thank you all for being here this afternoon to share this very, very special moment in my life. And I'm most humble and greatly appreciate it. And I thank you all. Thank you for the time, Henrietta, for coming. Thank you, Howie.
Thank you. Have you know that he's allowed to call me Howie because he knew me before 1984. After that, I changed my name to Howard. Thank you so much. And I still can't spell, but thanks to computers, I've survived and made it through. We have, anybody else think they have the desire to speak? Okay, so we're going to do a groundbreaking ceremony. We have a lot of shovels. Yep.
The town gets a lot of support from the county and our county legislature, especially county legislators Mike Udelson and Rick Milne. Unfortunately, neither could be here today. They did send a resolution. It's a wee bit wet, but you know, it basically recognizes the work done to create this place, including Howard and Sarah and all the folks who were involved. So I'm not going to take the time to read it, but I just wanted to mention that, you know, it's great to have that support from the legislator. You know, you look out, all of our town board members are here, including some past town board members. You know, the chair of our school board's here. Just a lot of good support. It's not just the town, you know, it's all the other organizations within the town who help make this possible. So thank you.
So since this is a community event and community is putting this together, and I've been to many groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings when I worked for DOT where the designers kind of stay in the background and get no recognition. But we have a lot of shovels. So I thought that I'll take one and Mr. Schultz will take one and you can take one for the school, representing the school district. And then anybody else who wants to take a shovel and join in, first come, first serve, let's all do part of this. And we'll get the shovels in the ground when we're all ready, we'll get the video going and we'll dig a hole. Little hole. We're going down about 10 feet, so. And then we'll have cider and donuts, and we'll go put the plaques in. So thank everybody for coming. Right. And now the sun's going to come on up. You want to help?
So I'll note that the real work will be done by excavators, our DPW crews, not by us with shovel. Okay. I'll also point out, we didn't go and buy gold shovels because they're too expensive. We just spray painted shovels gold.
Anybody else? You got a couple more. Okay, yeah. I thought you were going to help shoot in. Go ahead, grab the shovel. Come on. All right, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Now we got shovels. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I got the donuts.
You can take it with mine. I can share it. Michael, get a picture.
Yes.
Or don't get it.